2 days ago, I watched the PlayStation Showcase live like a lot of people, and it was a pretty good showcase of the upcoming games. We got to see a bunch of multi-platform titles that we were looking forward to, and more importantly, we got to see the upcoming exclusives for the PlayStation console, with the highlight of them obviously being the Spider-Man 2 game. And while I was watching this amazing trailer, the only thing that I was thinking was how much Peter sounded like Sasuke from the Naruto dub until I found out it was the same voice actor, so I was geeking out and shit. That's my show. But also, I was just thinking about how much Xbox is behind in terms of their new console exclusives, even though they're under one of the most biggest technology companies in the world. Now, don't get me wrong, there are advantages to owning and playing on an Xbox, like its console's affordability, the sheer amount of games you get for a cheap price, but if the last year and a half has showed us anything about Xbox, it's that even Xbox themselves know that they need to step the game up. And as a company that's went on record to say that they're looking to outperform rival consoles like the PS5 and Nintendo Switch, it's important that they take into account the things that they could do from this point to achieve that goal. And again, I'm not some sort of electronic analyst or professional of some sort. My pastime hobby is playing Genshin Impact and talking shit about pixels, but I want to take a stab at listing some of the things that Xbox can do from this point to satisfy their fans even more, just based on, how we've seen them operate as of recently. Of course, I might not touch on everything imaginable, so Xbox fans can feel free to chime in on what they think can be changed in the comments too, even though Microsoft most likely won't see this video, but the people at the skate team saw my video on them, so you just never know, so fuck it, right? So with that being said, I want to dive into what Xbox could do to be a better gaming company. So the first and most obvious thing that they need to rapidly turn the pace up on is the games that they're putting out, because Jesus Christ, I hate to be the dead horse, but Redfall genuinely made me mad from how bad it was compared to what I thought it was going to be. Microsoft has acquired a ton of studios over the last few years and pretty much combines them into one that works on separate games, but they barely have anything to show for it. Now, they do release a lot of indie titles that are okay hit or miss, but as a console that used to pump out revolutionary IPs left and right, they've got to focus their budget on games that will actually do something different and something great. Now, personally, I'm still having high hopes for the upcoming Starfield game coming out later in September, I think, since it's the last big game from Xbox that we know of this year. And it's a Bethesda developed game, so I'm hoping that the name can still carry weight after the disaster of last month, but Xbox overall just needs a better grip on game development. And speaking of game development in general, I think the next thing that Xbox could maybe do is think about chilling on the Activision Blizzard acquisition. Just hear me out. Now, in a world where companies make acquisitions left and right all the time, I'd be a hypocrite to say that Xbox shouldn't be one of those companies, just because. But there's no doubt that Xbox is only pursuing the deal mostly for the big names already tied to the company as a way to have something under their belt that's a good and relevant name like Call of Duty, so they can just slap their logo on it and feel powerful again. And while making these kinds of games exclusive to the console, they say won't happen, Sony is stubborn on signing the deal for games like Call of Duty to be kept on their platform if the acquisition goes through. So hypothetically, if we live in a world where one of these games isn't on PlayStation anymore and is only exclusive to Xbox and maybe Nintendo, then that just complicates the whole process and people are going to be even more mad at Microsoft. So it all just ties back to them focusing on better games, because if they already created amazing IPs, then the need for more acquisitions wouldn't be as necessary. And as far as other ways of improving the Xbox gaming experience, it really just comes down to anything that their consoles lack as of right now. For example, hardware glitches that arrive from things like the quick resume feature, or just having a new default controller that's even more of an upgrade from a previous one. Now, these types of wishes are more subjective and more opinionated, I'll admit, but for Xbox to regain what they once had, a lot's gonna have to change in the next few years if they want to overtake Sony and Nintendo in the console wars. That is, unless of course they just don't completely buy out every independent studio before that, to which, we won't have a choice but to like Xbox. So however they decide to move from this point forward will just be interesting to see. So what do you guys think about Xbox, man? Feel free to leave a comment down below. And as always, leave a like on the video, subscribe, check out the Patreon if you're interested, and I'll see you on the next one.